The complex history of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Unraveling the past. The Israel-Palestine conflict must be understood in the late 19th century, when Zionism emerged. Jewish philosophers and leaders created Zionism to provide Jews with a homeland in Palestine. They wanted to escape oppression and achieve self-determination. As this concept spread, Jewish immigrants from throughout the world moved to Palestine, then part of the Ottoman Empire. Pioneers struggled with tough living circumstances and Arab resentment. Jewish immigration gradually set the stage for decades of unrest. This influx of immigration and their statehood ambitions naturally challenged the local Arab community. This clash of national aspirations started a complicated and deeply ingrained battle that affects many people today. Early developments established the groundwork for a long-lasting conflict for land, identity, and national sovereignty, which would continue and change. Understanding these beginnings is crucial to understanding the Israel-Palestine conflict's deep-rooted intricacies. 2. World War I and the British Mandate. The Middle East changed after World War I, shaping the Israel-Palestine conflict. The Ottoman Empire collapsed after the war, bringing attention to Palestine. The League of Nations designated the British Empire to oversee Palestine post-war. This mission aimed to help the area become self-sufficient and autonomous. However, this decision led to worse problems. After the British took over, Jewish-Arab animosity rose. Jewish people considered the British Mandate as a step towards Zionism, whereas Arabs saw it as a betrayal since they wanted more independence. The 1917 Balfour Declaration was critical. This statement, named for then British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour, supported a, quote, national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, as a pledge to one group at the expense of the other. This pronouncement deepened suspicion and animosity between the two populations. The British Mandate was marred by tensions, demonstrations, and rival patriotic goals. Arab opposition increased as Jewish immigration to Palestine persisted. Both parties organized preparing for subsequent clashes. The British Mandate was meant to be a transitory era, but it deepened the division between the Jewish and Arab populations and set the stage for future confrontations. This key moment in the Israel-Palestine conflict shows how complicated and interconnected the region's history, politics, and identity are. 3. The United Nations Partition Plan. As a formal international attempt to resolve the Israel-Palestine issue, the 1947 UN Partition Plan was crucial. Before 1947, the British Mandate failed to address Palestine's growing Jewish-Arab conflict. Understanding the necessity for an external solution, the UN provided a detailed strategy. The UN Special Committee on Palestine, UNSCOP, investigated and made recommendations. UNSCOP reported a division plan in November of 1947. Two Jewish and Arab governments with an international rule for Jerusalem, a holy city for both parties, were proposed in this scenario. The UN wanted a peaceful conclusion, but the division proposal was unpopular. The UN's General Assembly majority supported it, with the US and USSR supporting it as well. However, Arab nations and several other countries condemned it as unfair, since it gave a large section of Palestine to Jews despite their minority population. Jewish leaders' endorsement of the plan and the declaration of the establishment of Israel in May 1948 kicked off the 1948 Arab-Israel War. Arab powers invaded newly established Israel after rejecting the partition proposal, causing major regional damage. The UN Partition Plan formalized international recognition and engagement in the conflict. making it a turning point. It prepared Israel for independence. It also started a conflict, created many Palestine refugees, and changed the region's geography, laying the groundwork for continuous problems. Understanding the foundations of the Israel-Palestine conflict and the diverse views on Israel's legitimacy requires this historical framework, demonstrating that the problem is intricately linked with international politics and historical actions. 4. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War, known as the War of Independence by Israelis and the Nakba catastrophe by Palestinians, is a crucial and difficult phase in Israel-Palestine history. Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq declared war on Israel in May 1948, after David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, declared the State of Israel. This started a harsh, long war. War has numerous significant features. 1. Territory changes. The conflict changed territory significantly. Israel took seized lands earmarked for the Arab state. The fighting created West Bank, Gaza Strip, and later distributed boundaries. 2. Mass displacement. The 1948 conflict displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. Many Palestinians became refugees, creating a complex and ongoing situation that still plagues Israel-Palestine. 3. Ceasefires and armistices. Israel and the Arab nations signed armistice in 1949, ending the conflict. These accords created temporary borders that became Israel's de facto borders. The 1948 Arab-Israelis war's effects still define the conflict. Israelis and Palestinians were deeply affected by the conflict. Israelis celebrate the conflict as the founding of their state and victory over hostile neighbors. Palestinians call it the Nakba, the start of their displacement and disposition. Current conflicts center on these opposing histories and interpretations of the 1948 war, one of the most controversial incidents in Israeli-Palestinian history. To understand the 1948 Arab-Israeli wars, complicated and unsolved historical grievances, one must understand it. It emphasizes the need to recognize the different narratives and experiences of conflict victims as we pursue reconciliation and peace in the area. 5. The peace process. The Israeli-Palestinian peace process has involved years of diplomacy to the end of the Middle East conflict. This procedure is complicated and has witnessed optimism and sadness. Dig further into its evolution. Number 1. Early attempts. After the 1967 Six-Day War, UN Secretary Council Resolution 242 called for Israeli disengagement from seized regions in exchange for peace and recognition. A comprehensive peace arrangement eluded them. 2. 1978 Camp David Accords. Peace process milestones include the Camp David Accords. Jimmy Carter helped Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and Egyptian President Anwar Sadat negotiate in 1978. Following these discussions, Israel and Egypt signed a historic peace accord in 1979. This was a major step towards peace, but it did not resolve the Israeli-Palestinian issue. 3. First Intifada, 1987 to 1993. The late 1980s Palestinian uprising, the First Intifada, brought international attention to the issue and prepared both parties to resolve it. It produced the Oslo Accords. 4. 1993 Oslo Accords. The 1993 Oslo Accords on the White House lawn were a milestone in Israeli-Palestinian discussions. The accords laid the groundwork for a Palestinian state and self-governance in areas of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. The procedure was challenging and setback-filled. 5. Second Intifada, 2000 to 2005. The Second Intifada derailed the peace process and caused widespread violence and fatalities. Conflict intractability hampered efforts to negotiate a final status agreement. 6. Roadmap for Peace. The US, EU, Russia, and UN launched the Roadmap for Peace peace proposal. It proposed precise procedures for both sides to reach a two-state settlement. Many impediments hampered roadmap implementation. 7. Recent events. US-led peace talks resumed, but no substantial deal was reached. Borders, refugees, Jerusalem, and security remain issues. 8. Current status. The peace process had made limited progress, and the conflict continued to cause tension and bloodshed. Peace and international players and civil society organizations are still crucial to finding a solution. The Israeli-Palestinian peace process shows the conflict's complexity and sensitivity, one of the world's most difficult diplomatic missions. It involves many players, complex concerns, and historical grievances. Despite failures, it is essential to a just and durable conflict settlement. 7. Current issues. Israel-Palestine remains a worldwide issue. No clear solution exists for borders, refugees, Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip. 8. Future hope. Despite the difficulty, optimism remains. People, organizations, and leaders are working hard to live peacefully, and history shows that even the most entrenched disputes can be addressed. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict shows the complexity of human history and geopolitics. Global affairs enthusiasts must understand its history. Many thanks for joining us on this fascinating historical tour. Please thumb up the video and share this instructive video with your friends. Please share your opinions in the comments. Also, subscribe for more fascinating content like this. Till next time, keep curious and informed.